Hello guys, I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. The message reads like this. Good morning, my brother. I am sorry for writing this email late. I know that I owe the people the continuation of my story. Ashraf had taken our passports and he had made us sleep with his friends. And yes, indeed, he was using us. But what could we do? We were stuck. Let me say, at the moment, we were in UAE and the city is Dubai, the Emirates. In that city, you will face a lot of racism, and black people are really considered third-class citizens or the West. We had no one to go to, or maybe because we didn't know that the embassy was going to help us, we were really desperate. Ashraf tried to make us happy, but that time Asa and Zizi were pissed off. The following 2 days, Ashraf tried to cheer us up, and I was still in denial that this man was making profit through using us. There were so many nights that I tried to cancel Zizi because she tried to insult Ashraf, saying that she didn't fear anything. She was ready to die. I told her that this man is not even afraid of killing you. Look at all the things that he has made us to do. Do you think that he is not scared of killing you? That is when Zizi relaxed. He then came to me and he told me that he had a better deal. This he made sure that my other friends were not in the same room with me. He told me that he was going to send a driver and he was going to pay for all that had happened the previous night. He said that I am the one who was more understandable. He told me that amongst his girls, I was the only one whom he trusted. He said that he didn't trust Zizi and he didn't trust Asa. I agreed. Little did we knew that he was playing all of us. The way that he had told me that he trusted me, he had also gone to Zizi and Asa and he had told them that they should not trust me. They should trust each other because as for them, they were from the same country, so they should never trust me. He was playing all of us. We were no longer united. I then went to the mall and I was picked by a driver who came driving a Lamborghini. That was the first time that I ever got inside a Lamborghini. He dropped me by the mall where there were your luxurious shops, and then he gave me an envelope that was fat. It had money and he told me that this money was for me and for me to spend. He also gave me a form to fill in, and this was a non-disclosure agreement form, and I was told it was for that night. As I was sitting inside that Lamborghini, I never even bothered to read that non-disclosure agreement form. I just signed it. He told me that there was a guy who wanted to see me. I looked at the fat envelope and I was lost. They say that the love of money is the beginning of all evil. I was filled with amnesia and I completely forgot what Ashraf had put me through that night. For the first time in my life, I had entered the Louis Vuitton shop and I bought myself a bag that costed 2,000 US dollars, nearly 40,000 rands. All those things that I wanted to build my mom a house back in the village in Zim. I had forgotten everything. The thing that was in my mind was all of these expensive clothes that were before me. Remember that the previous night we had been paid, but this time Ashraf had promised me that the client will be dealing with me directly. That's what I had lied to myself. I had believed him. I was a fool again. It was a dream come true because I bought the Gucci tracksuits. I bought expensive clothes and their expensive fragrances. I bought Gucci sandals. I bought everything you could ever dream of and an outfit for later that night. From that time, I was filled with happiness, and if only I knew what awaited me ahead. The driver told me to get ready for later that night as I was going to meet one of the richest men who had given me a lot of money, and I was told that this was just the tip of the iceberg. This was just a deposit. 40,000 rands a deposit. I felt like I wanted to scream. I didn't care. After all, this was just sexual intercourse. I have been doing this in Africa. What's so special? I had done this with guys who were broke. Now I was going to be paid a lot of money for this. My driver came to pick me up again at 10 p.m. and I was driven in this Rolls Royce and I felt so special. I felt like a princess. We arrived at the house. The house was by the ocean. So in Dubai, they filled the ocean with sand and they built houses on top, and it's only the rich man who owns those houses. As we entered into that house, I immediately knew that this was a billionaire's house. We went into a private yacht and started sailing in the ocean. Let me say that everything that I was feeling when I was inside that Rolls Royce, that feeling that I am a princess, I am being treated like a princess. As I entered into that man's house, I was told that I was nothing and I had no right to question anyone or anything. I had the right to remain silent until they had released me. There were 4 men all in all, and I didn't know that they were going to use me that night. I have been a prostitute for the rest of my life and I wasn't scared of these 4 men, but I had no idea of what they had planned for me. They used me as their sexual object and they penetrated all the holes on my body. They tied me like as if I was a puppy. They made sure that I followed them and I crawled on all 4s. All those men played with me and I had the right to keep silent. I had to pretend as if I was enjoying everything that they were doing to me. I had no passport and I had eaten their money. I had bought all of those luxuries. So maybe I deserved it. They made me to have intercourse with this dog, and this dog, it is like it has been trained to have intercourse with human beings, because the moment that the dog saw those men stripping me, then I could see that it was also getting ready to have intercourse with me. They placed a lot of things on my body. They also made me to eat their private parts. They choked me till I vomited and still made me to eat my own vomit. They took turns to poo on my body. They made me to eat the poo cake. I cried throughout. I even hated myself for agreeing. Remember, I had signed that form, so who was I going to report this? After all, I didn't even have a passport since Ashraf had taken it. That night, I prayed in my heart and I told myself that this was my lesson. Prostitution was no longer good for me. I had to stop. This was like my turning point, and whatever was going to happen from now on was just slavery. I had made a covenant with myself to never do this again. All of this fantasy of me being an African princess, it had disappeared. I was such a fool, dear brother Nashi, because on that day during the afternoon, I had actually prepared for this billionaire. I had actually bought myself a nice lingerie thinking that I was going to impress him. But one of those men told me that they had done this more than 1,000 times and I was just another piece of flesh. I was worth nothing. After they were done with me, I was still naked, but they made me to wear a life jacket. They called their bodyguards. Then they tied a rope around my waist, but the way that the rope is designed, it doesn't damage you. It is so comfortable. I didn't know what they wanted to do with me. Those bodyguards then went with me at the edge of the yacht. Then I was thrown into the water, the cold sea water. It was really freezing cold. This time it was around 4 a.m. This whole thing had started from 10 p.m. until the nightmare ended at 4 a.m. After they were done with me, that same driver came and picked me up and he drove me to the hotel room. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I gargled with water, brushed my feet, and the smell could not leave me. I cried like a baby as I was inside that bathroom. I didn't want to eat anything. I will never forget what happened to me. When I looked at all the material things that I had bought, they really broke my heart. Each and every day, it's like I can still hear their laughs as I was crying and begging for my life. To them, I was just an object. I regret ever signing for that deal. I had traded my body for money. I felt like I was not a human being again. I closed myself in that room for the whole week. I was defeated and I didn't know that my friends were going through the same trap. Ashraf was using us as his slave. We needed to find a way to live. When that driver dropped me back at the hotel, and when Zizi and Aza saw me walking fast into my hotel room, they just thought that everything that Ashraf had told them, it was the truth. So they stopped trusting me, but they also went through the same process. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. Strange things do happen in this world. If you have a story that you want to share with us, please do not hesitate to contact us via our email address. I'll be back with another episode.